Okay, I'll call to order the Complaints Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. My name is Rodman Martin. I'm the chair of this committee. To my left is member Matthew Cate. Relatively soon, member Bruce Wolf should be attending as well. There's about 4 or 5, I think, matters on the agenda today. Anyway, just before we get started, if you can turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate, that's helpful. And we try to get through these things, at a decent clip, a decent pace. So, I'm respectful of everyone's time. You're here after work typically, and appreciate it. Okay, so with that, are there any agenda changes today? Oh yeah, call to order.
Item number 1, call to order, roll call on agenda changes. There is an agenda change. Item number 6, file number 19078. This complaint has been withdrawn, so that will not take place today. And roll call, we're expecting Bruce Wolf to appear. We're expecting Bruce Wolf to appear in a few minutes.
Okay.
So roll call. Matthew Cate.
Present.
Matthew Cate present. Rodman Martin.
Present.
Rodman Martin present. We have a quorum.
Okay. At this point, we'll also take any public comment.
Public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda.
Oh, good evening, task force members. Oh, there is a third member. I was just going to object to only having 2 members tonight, because then you would be requiring petitioners to get a unanimous decision. But I see Mr. Wolf here tonight, so welcome.
Well, just as a heads up, this is the committee level. There's going to be no decisions, substantive decisions made on any of the matters tonight. If we hear the claims and the issues, and then you'd be referred to the full task force.
Yes, but you do make recommendations to the full task
Yes, we
force.
can.
So
That's
if
correct.
there was only 2 of you sitting tonight, I would have to get a unanimous decision.
true.
Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, please.
Item number 3, approval of the August 20, 2019 Complaint Committee meeting minutes.
See any issues with the minutes?
Did not, and I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 20, 2019. Matthew Cate.
Oh, roll. Okay. Aye.
Matthew Cate,
We
aye.
need to take public comment on the minutes.
We did. Oh, I apologize.
Public comment on the minutes? Seeing none?
Call the question.
Matthew Cate, aye. Correct. Bruce Wolf.
Aye.
Bruce Wolf, aye. Chair Martin.
Aye.
Chair Martin, aye. The motion to approve the minutes passes.
Thank you. Okay,
Next.
so item number 4, please.
Item number 4, excuse me, file number 19060, complaint filed by Ashley Rhodes against the Arts Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and/or complete manner. Mr. Rhodes has had his agenda item before the Complaint Committee earlier this year, and he and the Arts Commission were not present at that time. And so we decided to continue it until today.
Is the complainant here? Is the respondent here? Clerk, has there been any effort made by the complainant to reach out to you?
I have heard nothing from the complainant or the respondent.
Okay. With that being the case, and the complainant has had another opportunity prior to this to be before the committee, you wish to just, any ideas?
I guess the only question I'd have for member Chair Wolf is whether we, at the committee level, can dispose of complaints, or do we have to refer it up to the task force? Do we just continue?
The task force should make those decisions ultimately, but basically you would forward this item to the task force to be put on whatever next available agenda for it to be considered to be closed, the case file to be closed.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of satisfied that, at least in terms of jurisdiction and those kinds of things, that it's present in this case. So, I mean, I would make a motion that we would refer this to the full task force for its consideration, that we have jurisdiction. And I'm just trying to wonder if it's appropriate, if we think it's appropriate to notify the petitioner that, you know, that this is going to be considered for closure. And so that maybe we would make that as part of the motion, that, you know, we notify the petitioner, the complainant, that the committee is putting this before the task force, and that if the petitioner does not appear, that the task force would consider closing the file.
Can I make it a little bit easier?
Please.
Okay. So first I would say that just to iterate what is happening before us. So the item was called, the petitioner was not present as part of our complaint procedures, and that we're forwarding it to the full task force for recommendation to close the file.
I would make that my motion then.
I'll second.
And just for general knowledge, closing the file means more or less dismissing the case without a negative finding.
Any public comment on the motion? Seeing none?
Call the roll. Member Kate? Aye. Member Kate, aye. Member Martin? Chair
Aye.
Martin? Member Wolf?
Aye.
Okay, the motion continued, the item passes.
Okay. Item number 5.
Item number 5, file number 19077, complaint filed by Ahimsa Porter Sumchai against Mayor London Breed for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner, and 67.7 for not posting the agenda in a timely manner.
Thank you. Is the complainant here? The complainant, Dr. Sumchai here. The respondent here.
I need you to speak into the microphone, sir.
I'm here to respond on behalf of the mayor's office.
Okay, please come up. Both of you, I guess.
And as I was stating, my name is Micah Fobbs. That's M-I-C-A-H, F-O-B-B-S. And I am here as, I guess, a research assistant referencing the information in the complaint.
Okay, but you weren't named in the complaint, correct?
I was not
Just to be
specifically
clear.
named in the
Okay.
complaint, no.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask Mr. Fobbs' name?
Correct.
Okay. Were you here to speak on behalf of the petitioner or behalf of the respondent?
On behalf of the respondent.
Respondent.
The
Okay.
respondent, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Please state your
Evening,
name
members.
first.
Yeah, Hank Heckel, here on behalf of the office of Mayor Breed to respond on this matter.
Mr. Heckel, thank you. Madam Clerk, did you get any notice from the complainant about not?
I got notice that she intended to be here.
Okay, so it's still relatively early. It's about 5:45. I think we can wait maybe another 15 minutes before releasing you, if that's okay. I mean, you're not named directly in the complaint. I understand your interest here. I just would rather see if they show up, especially if they said they would be here, rather than dispose of it at 5:45. I think that's understandable, but
Didn't we just do that for the previous item?
dispose of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't here. They have a history.
And they'd at least, in the prior item, the petitioner was non-responsive.
Yeah, I think we have
Okay.
I
someone
mean,
who
I
reached out
don't know,
here.
15 minutes,
Okay.
or
You don't
after
mind,
the next
maybe
item.
It's okay with me.
Okay.
I can.
Is that okay?
I don't necessarily mind, but can we make it 10? I only say that because I have my daughter
No,
here, and
yes.
I literally had to go to the East Bay, come back here, and made it a point to be here.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I think
we'll do
if-
10.
We'll
That's
do
that's
10. I
fair.
appreciate that.
You know,
Thank you.
and I just don't want, my fear is they come here and then you're gone and you have to come back again, or you feel
Yeah,
obligated to.
I totally
So-
appreciate that, and
Okay,
I think
yeah.
at this point we're probably going to have to come back to. I think you said there's an additional hearing as well.
Well, potentially.
Potentially. Okay.
So we'll give 10 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. Next item. Or sorry, we don't need a motion for that, do we?
Well, if you want to, you just table it.
We'll table it. Yes, please. Well, I think it's,
Yeah,
oh, you said number 6 is,
Number 6 has withdrawn his complaint.
yeah, correct. Okay, so item number 7.
Item number 7, file number 19079, complaint filed by Thomas Piccarello against the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6725 for failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely manner.
Is complainant Mr. Piccarello here? Hi, Mr. Piccarello. Is the respondent here? I am. Hello. So the way this works is you'll have 5 minutes?
5 minutes. All right.
Correct.
Good evening, task force members. My name is Thomas Piccarello. I filed a complaint approximately July 15th. Actually, I alleged 6721 and 6725, contrary to your agenda. Your agenda is only showing a violation of an IDR, but my complaint actually alleged not only an IDR, but an incomplete disclosure of the documents that I requested. I'll give you a little background on why I'm here tonight. I live at Zygmunt Aaron House. It's a 3-story building, 1 elevator for 3 stories. 10 or 12 of the tenants are confined to wheelchairs or walkers. So they're mobile challenged. 3 months ago, I was advised by a fellow resident, that he asked me if I was getting a rent reduction of 2 months, 20% off. And I said, no, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, because the elevator is always going down, and locking people in wheelchairs in the elevator, where the fire department has to come to get them out, Community Housing Partnership is going to give everybody a 20% reduction for 2 months. I said, oh, nice. So I went to tenant services and property management, and they said, no, you're not getting it. I said, well, why is that? We don't have to tell you. Sorry? We don't have to tell you. Okay. So I made a request, informal request, to Community Housing Partnership, and as you're aware, 12L doesn't allow me to get the documents that I want. So I made an informal request. I sent an email saying, could you please give me an explanation as to why 10 of the 47 tenants are getting a 20% reduction off their rent for 2 months. And so I was treated like a potted plant, because 12L doesn't provide for me getting any documents from a nonprofit other than limited financial records. And even in the event that you found that my request to them was under 12L, your advisory opinion is not binding on the nonprofit. So I have no access getting documents from the nonprofit. But fortunately, I do have access to get those documents through a city agency that provides funding to the nonprofit. And in this case, it's both HSA and HSH. I dismissed HSA without prejudice because I'm really interested in getting the documents, not finding a technical violation. I'm interested in getting the documents that I requested. My requests were threefold. Number one, I wanted the contracts between HSH and Zygmunt Aaron House, Community Housing Partnership. Secondly, I wanted the conciliation agreement between HUD and Community Housing Partnership. Thirdly, and this conciliation agreement was over the elevators going out. And thirdly, I asked for complaints. Residents' complaints from Zygmunt Aaron House for the past 3 years. I have received no documents from HSH. The acronym is sort of hard to, it used to be HSA, now it's something else, but Department of Homelessness, let's call it. So I've gotten no documents from Department of Homelessness. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Respondent here. Step forward. Thanks for making it. Please state your name for the...
No problem. Hi, my name is Tanya Ellis. I am the Communications and Community Engagement Lead for the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing. I'm just.
Okay, so you'll also get 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Second.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. On July 16th, 2019, the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, HSH, received an immediate disclosure public information request from Thomas Piccarello for the following: complete copy of current contracts between ZAH and HSA, copy of HUD compliance agreement titled Johnson versus CHP dated around 2018, any and all resident complaints filed against CHP in the past 3 years. And this is verbatim. This is copy and pasted from his request. Our Director of Strategy and External Affairs responded that day to inform him that his request did not meet the standards of an immediate disclosure request and conveyed the new due date of July 26, 2019. Subsequently, I and 2 other colleagues representing our contracts and housing divisions worked to compile the required responsive documents. Because his request alluded to contracts with HSA, I invoked our right to an extension as I anticipated our need to consult with an external agency. This made the new due date August 9, 2019. HSH conducted the following search methods: keyword searches in our Adult Housing Program Manager's Outlook inbox for CHP complaint, grievance. Outlook inbox folders search by contract and site for subfolders that she created for grievances forwarded or sent by tenants themselves. Opening up each file in the contract team's miscellaneous folders, search for the keyword Johnson in the contract team's Compass file folder, search for Johnson in the contract team's main folder. The following records were found and provided to Mr. Piccarello on July 30th, 2019. A contract between the City of San Francisco and Community Housing Partnership, or CHP, which was executed July 1st in 2014. A contract amendment between the City of San Francisco and CHP executed July 1st, 2018. I'm sorry, the first one was 2014, this one was 2018. An email correspondence between HSH employee Grace Jin and the ADA grievance and intake coordinator Heather Kittel. Mr. Piccarello was informed that HSH did not hold responsive documents for his HUD compliance grievance request. HSH effectively complied on time and well within the required parameters for a public information request. And 2 points I want to make. He received what he needed because he actually responded back to us that he was not able to open the file. So to which I responded back, I rescanned the PDFs and resent them to him. He never responded that he didn't get them, couldn't open them again, or anything. Also, I think one key thing to take away, we contract with certain providers who oversee certain sites. Just because a client has a complaint and forwards it or initiates a complaint with that particular program provider does not mean that it comes to HSH. So even in his initial request, when I responded to him, I told him some of these documents you might have to go directly to CHP for, and that's more than likely what it is. We do not get every single grievance. Generally, things will come to us if they are not resolved by the program director or the program provider, or are escalated to HSH. So all that to say, if there is something, we just don't have the responsive documents, but CHP might.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Have a question?
Yeah.
No.
I have a question. Miss Ellis?
Sorry,
I
I have to come
question
back.
for you. So in the beginning, in the beginning of your testimony, you stated that something to the effect that your Director of External Affairs person informed Mr. Piccirillo that his request didn't rise up to an IDR.
Right.
Okay. How did that decision come around? Under what grounds were they able to make that decision?
By guidance that we receive from our city attorneys, we generally follow the rules put forth that we need to respond within 10 calendar business days.
What advice did you receive from your legal counsel that you could convert an IDR into a regular request?
If it's not, if it's not simple, routine, and readily answerable by the San Francisco Administrative Code.
And what made you, is there any explanation as to why your director felt that it was not that?
It looks like HSH will, so she sent this in an email. HSH will need to conduct a review of our files to find responsive records, and will need to spend substantial time reviewing to ensure no confidential information is included. So, of course, because we deal with a lot of clients and a lot of protected health information, we generally need time to make sure we have to review them and make sure we do not have to redact something.
And so why would that not stay within the realm or the scope of
For
an
the 10
IDR?
days?
Yeah. No, for an IDR.
Because generally it takes time to go through documents and redact them, and it'll take generally more than 24 hours.
Okay. Well, but that's okay. I mean, in IDR, you respond if you cannot provide the information because it may be voluminous, or you may have to go speak to other people or what have you. Your response time it's not even 24 hours. By the end of the following business day, actually. And then you can invoke the extension so that you can provide whatever information you have, and then if there's more information, then it could be provided on an incremental or rolling basis. So I'm just wondering, in this case, what within the realm of the scope with regarding that would constitute that it be dropped from an IDR into a regular request?
I wasn't present when she initially responded because I was on vacation, so I honestly can't give specifics other than what her email says. But just in general, from my experience with other requests, again, we generally need to give enough time to review and redact. A lot of the time, because of HSH's history of being made up of other city agencies, a lot of record keeping and file keeping is from other external agencies that we have to then reach out to, kind of consider where they are. I essentially just get a sense of, is this something we currently hold? Is this something our legacy department currently holds? So my thinking, I'm just sort of speaking off of experience, my thinking is that's probably what her reasoning was.
Just so we're all clear, and for the record, I just want to read into it the part under 6725 relating to this, because what you gave was a fragment of that sentence. It says maximum deadlines provided in this article are appropriate for more extensive or demanding requests, but shall not be used to delay fulfilling a simple, routine, or otherwise readily answerable request. So it doesn't mean that it kind of nullifies it, or it can, drop its requirements under an IDR. It just says that maximum deadlines should not be used to delay the fulfillment. So if you needed more time communicating with the requester is all that's really needed. If it needed to go beyond the 10 days, then you just work it out with the respondent. If the here's a good example. A lawyer is in the middle of a case and something comes up, needs some information very quickly, Okay, they file an IDR with the city. It's more information that can be gotten in one day, and they invoke a 10-day extension. If it turns out to be more than that, they could at least go back to the judge and say, I need more time, I need a continuance. But it doesn't nullify the IDR. The IDR still, the response to the requester is still in force. So I just wanted to notify that, and I want that noted in the record for the task force.
When you say response, do you mean essentially letting the person know about the need for the extension? Because we did do that within
Right,
the time frame.
right, but
Okay.
it's a matter of then providing, when did the information, what's the reasonable time? If 10 days, if you told him that you could have it within 10 days and then didn't provide it to him within 10 days, then we have something to talk about.
Okay.
If you said that we have a whole bunch of information we have to go to, it's going to take us longer than 10 days, then find out that that information really could have been gotten back, could have been provided to him within 7 days, then we have something to talk about. So it's really a matter of the content, the detail of the request. So, I mean, you said things, so it seems like part of the request was for the number of complaints that were, okay, so yeah, that may take some time to do. What about the other items? Were the other items delivered within the 10-day period?
So
I'm not asking for an
okay.
answer. That
Okay.
would come before the task force. I'm just kind of, just laying out what the scope is of here. We're not going to adjudicate this here. We're here to just define whether this is within the jurisdiction of the task force, whether the information is public, and just any particulars that we might have to give clarity to the task force so we don't run down a rabbit hole during our main meeting. Thank you.
Member Kate, do you have any questions for? Thank you very much.
thank you.
A complainant, Mr. Picarillo. Sorry.
Before you ask the question, I misspoke. When I said I didn't receive any documents, I didn't receive any documents regarding Johnson versus CHP or any documents regarding ZA residential complaints. I did receive several contracts
Okay.
between HSH and Community Housing Partnership.
Okay.
Yeah. Part of the contracts, though, were illegible. If you look at your packet, you'll see the financial data, which is the most important part of the contract, you cannot read.
Okay.
So I'll either get paper copies
Okay.
or make the request again.
And did you receive you didn't receive the HUD CHP contract?
Sorry?
You didn't receive the HUD CHP contract either, I think you...
No. Well,
Okay.
wait. I did. Actually, I filed a FOIA, a Freedom of Information request, to HUD. And while HUD was giving me the documents, HUD must have told CHP. So CHP then sent me the compliance agreement.
So you have that?
I do.
You have that now? Okay.
But not from who I requested it from.
Right.
That's most important. Now, what the compliance agreement showed was they were supposed to comply with the agreement in 10 days. That is, give the rent reductions, series of provisions in the agreement. CHP didn't comply for 15 months. That's why I'm not getting the documents from HSA. They didn't comply for 15 months. In the interim, Mr. Johnson died. So the case was concluded, and Mr. Johnson he died before the case was concluded. But for the other residents, there were at least 4 or 5 residents in wheelchairs that either died or left the premises before they could partake in the 20% reduction of 2 months. Moreover, Mr. Johnson and 3 of the other residents received what's called Shelter Plus Care funds. Shelter Plus Care funds are administered by respondent. So for her to say that she has not a clue about the HUD compliance letter is disingenuous at best.
Okay. So go ahead. Mr. Cade.
Just to confirm on the compliance agreement that you did receive ultimately from HUD, was that out of
I didn't get it from HUD.
Oh, I'm sorry.
HUD gave me a lot of interesting documents, but they didn't give me the compliance agreement. They gave me some statute that said I have to get consent from CHP.
Do you know?
In the interim, I received voluntarily, maybe 60 days after the request, the HUD compliance agreement.
I guess I'm just trying to understand if the compliance agreement, is that something that came out of an individual, I guess, a Johnson, a grievance internally with HUD, or was it a lawsuit?
Excellent question. No, Mr. Johnson went to the respondent for help. And respondent said, we can't help you. We can't help you. You get stuck in an elevator for 3 hours, we can't help you. So fortunately at ZA, at one time we had a tenant services supervisor, excellent lady, a whistleblower. She convinced Mr. Johnson to go to HUD. Mr. Johnson went to HUD, filed a complaint, and they found a lot of wrongdoing. But for her to tell you that they don't have a clue about the HUD agreement is very disingenuous at best.
Did they ever point you in a direction of who may have it, or to make a request upon some other agency? Or
what agency?
Like when they said they didn't have it, or when they said they didn't have access to it, did they say, well, this place might, or maybe you should try this other place?
You need to ask her, not me.
Well, no, but did they ever communicate that to you?
No.
Okay, that's all.
No, okay, I'm sorry.
All right, that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, Member Kate? So you've gotten some stuff, right?
Some stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some documents. What is outstanding that you think is
3 years of complaints by ZA residents.
okay?
Now look,
and which agency?
If you look at
which agency do you think has those?
Respondent.
Okay.
Because if you look at the contracts, which I did, the pages that I could read, anytime there's a serious incident on the premises, CHP has to report to the respondent, right? Now, I've been there 5 years. Trust me, there's been a whole lot of serious incidents in addition to a dysfunctional elevator at ZA. So, at a minimum, they should have provided me the incident reports that CHP is required to give the respondent.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll discuss. What do you think?
I mean, I think for the questions that are in front of us today, I mean, I think we do have, there would be jurisdiction. I think that the records at issue would be, generally speaking, public records. I think there's the dispute about whether the respondent has certain documents and or not, but I think that's ultimately a larger full task force decision. I mean, I think jurisdiction and the finding of public records at issue, I think, is pretty straightforward on this. And I mean, I would be ready to move to recommend this to the task force to find jurisdiction, to find that the records are public, and to refer to the full task force for further consideration.
Second.
All right. Any public comment on the motion? Seeing none? No. That's okay. Sorry. There's no rebuttals at committee, I think.
Take the roll.
Yes, please.
Okay. Member Kate?
Aye.
Member Kate, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Martin?
Aye.
Chair Martin, aye. The motion to refer to the task force has passed.
Okay, so parties, this member will be referred to the full task force, and you'll get notice of when that is. Sorry, go ahead. Okay. Sorry, and you'll know when that is. You'll be given notice. Well,
Can I expect to be on calendar next month?
No.
I mean, you used to have a 45-day rule policy from when the complaint was filed to when I actually get a hearing to determine an order of determination.
No.
I take it that's no longer.
No, that's not how the law reads. The law reads 45-day for us to determine whether the information is public. That's the
Oh.
way the law reads.
Okay, so
That's
I
why
can-
we're here today.
Okay, so I can't expect to have a hearing at the full task force next month. Is that
No.
correct?
Correct.
but in the meantime, if you can try to facilitate getting the records, you guys can continue to try to work together and get those. I mean, you may laugh, but I mean, it's worth trying, you know. Because listen, if you come back to us and there's developments or something else, then that's great. If not, then it's still a
No.
problem.
Well, on the other hand, if you would have speedier
Well, I hear you,
processes
but again, it's not.
of hearings to get the records, that would also be a disincentive for people not to give records.
Well, could
Right?
possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
But
so
anyway,
clarification
yes.
of your findings tonight. Did you file a violation of 6721
Again,
and
there's
60?
no finding of a violation tonight. You're going to be referred to the full task force.
So all you found was you had jurisdiction.
Yeah, we said we're found jurisdiction. Right, the records are public, and you'll go to the full task force.
All right. Final question. So can I expect a hearing in October at the task force, full task force?
I don't know what it.
No,
No, that's next month.
That agenda's already been finalized.
November.
I don't, sir. I don't know exactly when
up
it will
to,
be set.
It's actually up to myself as the chair of the task force, along with our administrator, to determine based upon how whatever complaints that we have currently in the queue as to how they get heard. And that's can be determined based upon various reasons, one of which could be if you have one complainant with more than two complaints, that could be spread out over the course of 2 or 3 months. So that other people have an opportunity to have their cases heard. So it's all put into the queue. Yours will be the next one in line at the end of whatever the current queue is, and most likely be heard by the end of the year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. I think Dr.
Sometime.
Sumshai, sorry, I don't want to butcher the name, is here now.
Hang on.
We want to thank the respondents
Yeah,
for sticking around.
Thank you for waiting. All right, doctor, you're the complainant in this case, so you get 5 minutes.
Okay, my name's Dr. Ahimsa.
Sorry, what? Yes, please.
Okay,
Sorry,
hold on just a
we'll
second.
reread the complaint. Okay.
Okay.
Item number 4, file.
Item, actually.
Item number 4, file number 19060. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Item number 5, file number 19077, complaint filed by Ahimsa Porter Sumchai, is that correct? Against Mayor London Breed for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and or complete manner, and 67-7 for not posting the agenda in a timely manner.
Okay, well, I've given you quite a bit of information to support my concerns, and I have some additional information that I've acquired. Unfortunately, I acquired it after your 10th of the month deadline. I'm a licensed medical doctor. I have an MD from UCSF, and I'm a Stanford postdoc. I was a clinical and a research postdoctoral fellow. Most significantly, I founded the radiological subcommittee of the Hunters Point Shipyard, and I currently serve as the principal investigator for the Hunters Point biomonitoring program, and I have been receiving the email notices for the CAC environmental and reuse meetings for some time. I provided you documentation of their response to an email of their meeting from March of 2018. And in fact, I gave a scientific presentation in January of this month. And so I was concerned when I learned that on July the 17th, they were sponsoring a meeting with a group of UCSF UCSF quote-unquote independent scientists to discuss radiological testing at the shipyard, and I had been excluded from the listserv. Additionally, I was able to identify that many other significant people were not notified. The Sunshine Ordinance identifies the government's duty as to serve the public, reaching its decisions in full view of the public, etc. And I believe that the major jurisdictional issue before you is that the CAC of the Hunters Point Shipyard is a passive body. It's not a policy body, and that might restrict your ability to identify, whether or not there are violations that fall within your jurisdiction. But I do want to say that this matter has been settled. Myself and Dr. Ramona Tasco, who is the president of the UCSF Medical Alumni Association, I, by the way, am a member of the UCSF Medical Alumni Association, met with Dr. Balms, who was the presenter at the July 17th meeting. He is in charge of the 4 independent scientists, who, by the way, are all white males. I don't mean to offend you, but Dr. Balms disclosed that the 4 male scientists in the UCSF Chancellor's office were instructed by the mayor's office not to talk to me and to other scientists in the community, many of whom are people of color and career professionals. So I have some correspondence documenting that discussion. So my conclusions are, that not only are there violations of open government here, the mayor's office stipulated that the UCSF, which is a state university, wasn't to talk to me and other scientists in the community, and likely communicated that to the CAC, and that's why I was removed from the listserv. I also feel that there are violations of constitutionally protected freedom of speech in the press. I'm the Health and Environmental Science editor of the SF Bayview newspaper, and I am the Wikipedia editor of a section on the Hunters Point Shipyard. I believe that there are violations of scientific integrity, and frankly, I believe that there are expressions of environmental racism here. That a meeting that was hosted to present the opinions of 4 white male scientists was conducted, and people like myself who are scientists of color were deliberately excluded. Would you like that information? Would you like me to leave this information with you?
Clerk.
I have copies.
And what's our policy on this? What's our policy on this stuff? Okay, I'm fine with this. Thank you, Dr. Sunshine. The respondents. 5 minutes, Mr. Heckel.
Good evening, Chair Wolf, members Martin, member Kate. I'm Hank Heckel. I'm here to respond on behalf of the Office of Mayor London Breed and to address some of the issues Dr. Porter Sumchai has raised. First, let me just say the Mayor's Office takes very seriously our obligations under the Sunshine Ordinance and the Brown Act, including relevant open meeting provisions. The complaint at the time it was forwarded by the task force to myself, it was the first time that we were made aware of Dr. Porter Sumchai's concerns regarding the meeting that she is referring to. As a general matter, we're very happy to assist Dr. Porter Sumchai with any perceived issues with access to meetings and information. But in this case, we submit respectfully that there's been no violation of the Sunshine Ordinance based on the facts described by Dr. Sumchai. And also with respect to the issues that Dr. Sumchai just brought up towards the end of her presentation regarding allegations of instructions not to talk with her. That's the first I've heard of it. We don't. I haven't seen the record on that, but we're happy to look at that as an additional part of her complaint. So the major points raised were that there was an email listserv that was used by the Hunters Point Shipyard Citizens Advisory Committee. This is a citizens body that meets to address the ongoing remediation at Hunters Point. Dr. Sumchai, as she said, is, according to my understanding, is a frequent participant in those meetings and has been and was before the meeting she complains of in July of this year, and has continued to be a participant after that. The meeting in question was a July 17th Environmental and Reuse Subcommittee meeting. And Dr. Sumchai alleges that there was an email listserv that would notify interested parties and stakeholders of these meetings, and she claims that she was excluded from this list. The Citizens Advisory Committee has looked into this. They've done some research and compiled a memo just to sort of put together the facts and to corroborate that there was certainly no deliberate effort to exclude her. There was no intention to exclude her. It appears that she may have been on the listserv at one point and then dropped off. There's a report that's been submitted by the advisory committee, which is on page 112 of the packet. I would just refer the task force to the information there. Mr. Micah Fobbs is also here and can give some more detail on the factual background. So there's no evidence that the Dr. Sumchai was excluded from the listserv. When she brought the issue to the attention of the committee, she was promptly re-added to the listserv. And in point of fact, for this meeting, she was not actually prevented from going. She did receive notice of the meeting and attended the meeting. And I think more to the point, for purposes of what's required under the Sunshine and Open Government laws, the record shows that the committee did notice the meeting 72 hours in advance. The meeting, that notice was filed with the library, and there's evidence of that in the record, so there's no violation based on that. The email listserv is not required under the applicable requirements here. That's was also the conclusion of the deputy city attorney in the memo in the file. I'd refer you to page 50 for the DCA's opinion on that issue. And so there was no violation based on any deliberate exclusion from the listserv. There may be some other issues that Mr. Fobbs can address, and I'm happy to take any questions as well.
Thank you. So,
Can you spell your last name for me, please, sir?
Certainly, ma'am. F as in Frank, O, B as in boy, B as in boy, S as in Sam.
be a witness in support of.
Yeah, he's
A witness in support of. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's necessary for me to speak. Basically, the conclusions that Mr. Heckel have surmised were basically from the research that I did personally. We received a...
Sorry, support of is 5 minutes or 3 minutes?
usually 3 minutes, but I guess my first question to you is in what scope of detail are you providing here?
Thank you very much. That would be appropriate. The complaint was made against the mayor's office, but I represent the Mayor's Hunters Point Shipyard Citizens Advisory Committee, and we do all of the administrative work. So we're responsible for notifying or noticing the meetings, the agendas, and we've been.
Okay. You're representing the CAC.
The CAC,
Okay,
yes, whom
gotcha.
against it's kind of not really filed against, but responsible for, if you will.
Got it. Okay. I will give you. Is 3 minutes enough for you to give a kind of an opening statement about what you are here for, and then if we have other
Absolutely,
questions.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need to necessarily. I mean,
Yeah, it's 3 minutes. You don't have to take the full three. So we'll give it to you.
Yeah, no, I just simply wanted to reiterate. We received this information Well, first, as Mr. Heckel said, that during that meeting, Dr. Sumshai made a statement to the effect that she had been purposely excluded from the email list. We immediately, during the meeting, our staff immediately said, hey, well, let's check this. We checked, and she was not on our email distribution list. And we immediately added her as the information that you see. I mean, what basically I did was went back and just did a narrative of the circumstances before the complaint and then after the complaint. And basically checking all of our documented electronic resources, which we have in place specifically for this reason, so we can track whether or not individuals are opening or receiving, et cetera. And in doing so, we realized that she was not on any of our email lists, whether it was ours or our outreach consultants. And with that, I began to just track and document everything as it goes, because it was continuing. We were continuing to receive emails, even though we weren't receiving them. They weren't directly to us. We were being CC'd of them. So we wanted to make sure that we were at least addressing them as they were going instead of waiting until the last minute. All three items in the complaint, we researched. I researched specifically. We checked our constant contact. She was not on there. We added her. Subsequently, when we sent out the next email distribution, it shows that she received it, she opened it. We modified, we took proactive steps to modify our email list to make sure somebody was at the table, to make sure that we're getting correct information. We did research to see if she had requested to receive information going back to September of 2018. She did sign in on one of the sign-in sheets at one of the meetings, but the information was illegible. I have two assistants that work in the office that handle these things. Neither one could remember whether or not they contacted her to get correct information. I have been in communications with Dr. Sumshai continuously, probably every month I receive information from her. But again, she was not on our list. We added her, and the other complaints are addressed in the information, and if there's any questions you have about the research that I did, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Members, do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
Mr. Fobbs, don't sit down. Since you're here from HIPCAC, is that how you pronounce it? Or is that?
No, there's no acronym. It's just we just say CAC.
CAC,
or
okay.
HPSCAC.
So let me ask you, how long have you been with the CAC?
I actually subcontract to run the shipyard site office. We do base access, facilitate the site office, and then do all the administrative for the shipyard CAC. And I've been doing it for almost 15 years now. 15.
Okay, great. So can you tell me how it got formed?
The CAC was formed by Mayor Art Agnos, I believe, in 1993. And
Directly by the mayor?
Yes, directly by the mayor, to my knowledge. I don't know about the records, regarding that, but the news clippings, et cetera, that I have posted on our walls, et cetera, that's who formed it. It was a 31-member task force at the time. It's been operating with approximately 10 as individuals. I hate to say this, but pass away. It's been shrinking, and there's approximately 10 members right now.
Okay, and have you been following the Sunshine Ordinance as far as, how you run your meetings, posting agendas, compliance with records and whatnot?
That is one of my primary tasks. I mean, my specific primary task. I know the Sunshine Ordinance with pertaining to meeting notifications. Yes.
Because it was
definitely
created.
That's why. Yeah, and
the
I
CAC was created before the ordinance.
Yes,
was approved
but
by
one of the
voters,
things that the CAC did was to adopt the ordinance, even though they're a passive active body. They adopted the ordinance to make sure that there was transparency, because one of the things that the CAC's primary task is to disseminate information and to get feedback from the community.
Right.
And yes.
Okay, so I do want to. One of the things that we like to try to clarify in in this committee, we try to collect as much information as possible to create a complete enough file with enough information so that the task force doesn't have to spend a whole lot of time in that. So we could spend the time here, but because we have a larger agenda at the task force, in that kind of way, we try to do that. I want to just ask you a question with regards to here. Do you think that the CAC falls under this definition? Any advisory board, commission, committee, or body created by the initiative of a policy body? Was it created by another body?
I don't know that it was created by another body or not. Or
You
if it
said
was
it
just
was created by the mayor.
to my
at the
knowledge, the
time.
mayor, yeah,
Okay.
which would be an individual.
All right. Does it consist solely of employees,
No,
city employees? Okay.
no employees at all.
Okay. And where is that other part that I want to see here? And did anybody advise you as to whether you were a passive meeting body or a policy body?
No, that's something that I had read when I first came aboard, just doing research as to exactly what this entity was, what their roles and responsibilities were, what my roles and responsibility as an administrator was, and no.
And do you know if it wasn't enumerated in the charter, or it wasn't by, I'm just trying to determine, because we've had some of these issues before where a body will be presented as a passive meeting body, but they're really a policy body. And so I just want to, get some of those details so we can be
Well,
clear.
with that, I think, and I think one of the differences is that a policy body actually sets policy and can set policy, whereas this body just makes recommendations, to my knowledge.
No, the ordinance, as I just read, any advisory board, commission, committee, or body created by the initiative of a policy body. So if, let's say, it was Department of Public Works created an advisory board, that would be a policy body, because it answers specifically to the policy body pretty much on policy. So, whether it's reviewing it or not, that kind of thing. So here, though, a passive meeting body would be advisory committees created by the initiative of a member of a policy body or the mayor or department head. So
Yeah, which would be the mayor. And I was just going to say the distinction between policy, as you said, creates policy. There's no policies that they actually review. They review designs. They review community, input and advance, the overall opinion of the community versus theirs. So it's not like they're reviewing actual, policies, in my opinion, in that say. And I would say that simply, I'm assuming that's why they use that word, but doesn't necessarily mean it's a description, as you said.
let me try a different description. Any advisory board, commission, committee, or council created by a federal, state, or local grant whose members are appointed by city officials, employees, or agents.
Yeah, I don't believe they're funded by a grant.
How are you paid?
I am paid by the Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, the former redevelopment agency.
Is that a federal, state, or local grant?
I don't know if it's not a grant to me, no, and I don't know how they receive their funds.
Okay. Actually, it's kind of a relevant question. I guess the question is let me ask you this: for the operations and or services that the CAC provides, as I've read, it does provide some kinds of support services and whatnot, right?
The CAC just provides advisory services to the Office of Community Investment Infrastructure.
Okay, so are
And
there,
the developer?
do they hold any funds for operations?
No. The only funds that are used for operations are what I'm paid.
What you're paid,
And
okay.
yeah, and that's for budgeting, for copier, for supplies, for
And-
admin services.
But you don't
et
know
cetera.
where that money is from?
I don't know where that money comes from.
Mr.
Other
Heckel,
than
do
the,
you have any idea? So the question is how is Mr. Fobbs, how's his contract funded? Okay. All right. That's all I have.
if I may, you mentioned something about limiting the amount of research necessary for this. So what I did was basically took snapshots of emails and documents, anything that would be requested in a public information request, and put them in a consolidated form so you actually have them.
Were those
which would be
submitted
assistant.
were those submitted to the our administrator already?
Yes, there was an initial one, I believe, submitted weeks ago, and then there was a final that I sent forwarded to Mr. Heckel. I believe he recently forwarded it to you folks, which has a final conclusion based on my research and information.
So
that I
that
have.
should be in our record.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course, but come up and do it in the microphone, please.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to mention that. Mr. Fobbs had an updated version of the report that I referred to earlier, which he had emailed me yesterday. I think it went into my spam folder, so he pointed it out to me tonight. I just forwarded it at the start of the meeting to the clerk and the task force.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I mean, I was up here at 4:45, so.
I'm sorry. I just sent it I sent it at like before this
Right before
matter
it.
came on.
Yeah, I
I
didn't see
forwarded
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I do have a copy here if you'd like. I don't need to keep it. You're more than welcome to.
I would say that there is information, I think, in terms of the full task force. There's some information on the CSC's website that pertains to kind of its formation, its membership, and things like that, except it's a little, I think, when it comes to the full task force, a deeper appreciation or understanding, I guess, of whether the Board of Supervisors created the CAC, because the stuff I'm seeing right now online suggests that they may have, and we've already discussed this. I'm sorry, I was kind of reading the.
Oh, okay, go for it.
But no, we don't have the answer now, but whenever we go to the task force, I think that distinction, whether the board kind of created by ordinance or resolution, will make a difference in terms of the passive policy, without regard to whether or not the CAC feels like it's a policy body. That's just the way the ordinance is kind of structured.
Yeah, and I am no one to speak on that,
Sure.
obviously. But what I would like to say, though, I'm not sure, if that's necessarily what I'm here for. I mean, I did do some research based upon the complaint, and the complaint stipulates at least 3 things that were supposedly in violation, and that document I just handed you clearly states and shows that we adhered to everything that we were supposed to, whether we were,
Question I have is, are you
not.
are you acknowledging that you are subject to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force?
Am I acknowledging that?
Or, sorry, the Sunshine Ordinance, yeah.
I'm not acknowledging that, no. I wouldn't know specifically from my interpretation in reading the ordinance. I don't believe they are. But what I did state is that the CAC adopted and adhered to many of the Sunshine Ordinances is simply for transparency.
Right, so you post agendas.
We post 72 hours. We post at the meeting site. We disseminate to those who request to be disseminated.
You produce minutes.
We produce minutes. We post them on our website. We do everything, with reference to public meetings.
You post notice of the meeting at the library, I think
At the library.
I saw there.
Yes, we send it to SFGOV.
How soon after the meeting do you usually post the minutes?
The meeting minutes are not typically posted until the drafts are often posted, as soon as they're available, which could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. But they're usually posted almost a day or 2 after they're approved.
Have you had Sunshine Ordinance requests made before on you, and then you produce the documents?
Never in 15 years. We've never had any complaint, never had any.
No, but have people requested public documents from CAC, and then do you produce them?
We've had one, to my recollection, we've had one request for public documents probably about 4 or 5 years ago, where I had to produce quite a bit of documentation.
And you produce them?
Yes.
Okay.
But that was at the request of OCII, whom we contract with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Not
you.
directly from the Sunshine Ordinance.
Or from a member of the public?
Yeah.
Okay. Member Kate, do you have any questions? Member Wolf?
Nope.
More? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I move to find jurisdiction and the information is public and to forward it to the full task force.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any public comment on the motion to anyone who's not a party of the item complaint?
Yeah, it sounds like it's public information.
Thank you.
All right. I'm ready for the vote.
All right. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Kate?
Aye.
Member Kate, aye. Chair Martin?
Aye.
The motion to forward to the task force passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the parties. What that means is it'll be in front of the full task force. Okay. Nothing was decided concretely here today except to move it to the full task force and find jurisdiction and that the documents are public. Okay. So thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And have a good rest of the evening. Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, please.
Item number 8, file number 19076, complaint filed by Maria Schulman against Animal Care and Control for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and or complete manner.
Is a complainant here? Yes. Okay, thank you. Is a respondent here? Okay, thank you. So complainant, you can step forward. Please state your name.
You have 5 minutes.
And you'll have 5 minutes to speak, okay?
Okay, great.
It's okay.
So, yeah, my name's Maria Schulman, and I think you guys have the emails that I sent back and forth between myself and Animal Care and Control. I filed a records request, and they did not respond to it within 10 days. And after 10 days, a little bit beyond, after 10 days, I sent a follow-up email and did get a response saying that that one of the employees of Animal Care and Control had responded to my request, but she sent the request to an email that I didn't provide, and I think it's really weird that she would send it to that other email, and so I think it's clear that the response didn't happen within 10 days. I don't know if I got all the records because I don't know what they have, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Respondent? Please state your name and you'll have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Justine Alberta. I'm the custodian of records for Animal Care and Control. So on Tuesday, July 9th, Ms. Schulman sent a follow-up email to SFACC and copied the Sunshine Task Force requesting a response to her Sunday, June 23rd request for records. I then replied to Ms. Schulman stating that our former deputy director, Ms. Diana Christensen, responded to her request on Wednesday, June 26th. The same day, Ms. Schulman brought to our attention that Ms. Christensen sent the email to an email that she claims was not provided to Ms. Christensen. Ms. Christensen has since retired and is no longer a City and County of San Francisco employee. So I was unable to confirm with her at the time where this email may have come from. Ms. Christensen has since visited SFACC as a member of the public, and I had asked her why she may have sent the information to this email. And according to her, to the best of her recollection, the email was provided by Ms. Schulman to Ms. Christensen in a phone conversation. Since then, all documents have been provided to Ms. Schulman. SFACC performed an extensive search with keywords as Claire Ahoyne, Beth Connell. SFACC reviewed all electronic and paper documents. No other documents exist. All documents have been provided to Ms. Schulman.
Is that
Any
it?
questions? Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, members, is there any
Question, Ms. Schulman?
forward again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read through some passages here. When you, the original request that you made in June, I think it's June 23rd,
Yeah.
was that, what kind of request did you make?
It was a written request.
It was a written request, not
Yeah.
over the phone?
It wasn't over the phone. I did speak to Ms. Christensen over the phone at one point regarding another records request, but I did not give her that UCSF email address. I gave her the Gmail.
Okay, and when you made this request in writing, was it by U.S. mail? Was it in your own handwriting? Was
It was an
typed?
emailed.
Email.
Yeah.
Okay, and was it? So was that 2019, June 2019?
Yes.
So did they direct you to a special service called Next Request? No, Next Request. So I'm
No.
getting nods from both parties here that they don't use that system. Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Ms. Schulman, one last question. When you made your request, did you make it with the intent for an immediate disclosure request?
Media disclosure?
You don't know what it is, then you probably didn't do it.
Probably not.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Look, I have a question for you. So you have no recollection of ever providing them your UCSF address?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't use that address, and so I'm really wondering how Ms. Christensen got it. Did she Google me? I'm curious, but yeah, I've never checked that address, and I don't have access to it
And
anymore.
you've received documents, right?
Not from Animal Care and Control. Oh, have I received documents through, through Gmail?
Or just what you've asked for?
Yeah,
You
I've
received
gotten, eventually, I received documents.
And is it your contention that there's still some out there?
No, I wouldn't say that I have all of them because I don't know.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is there any, I'm sorry, go ahead, if you don't mind. Is there any reason for you to believe through the information you currently have that there may be more information?
The fact that the response came slowly, and it seems like former Deputy Director Christensen doesn't take this process seriously just because she didn't send it to the right address and stuff like that. Yeah, I have reason to think that there might be something else.
That person's no longer there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And since you've been interacting with the new person, has it been a better response time or better
I haven't
interaction?
made any other records requests since
Okay.
Deputy Director Christensen left.
Well, I mean, since then they've provided records, right?
I mean, not so much provided records as pointed me towards previous emails saying the records, this is all we have.
Okay. And did you provide your own search terms for them to use or like that?
No, I was asking, I mean, I guess in a way, I was asking for correspondence between employees of Animal Care and Control and two specific individuals. So, yeah, I think it would be pretty easy for them to search and
Okay.
find that stuff.
It's seeing the the documents that you sent us, you mentioned something about a response for, I'm not pronounce the name, Mr. Ramaj. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, I guess, the missing response and why, if that connects to your hunch or fear that maybe all the documents haven't been produced?
Yeah. Yeah, there was that back and forth between Ms. O'Hoyen and Mr. Ramaj, and I didn't get the initial, whatever triggered the first email from Grant. I call him Ramage in my head. I don't know how he would pronounce it. I got that document from Miss Alberto eventually, but it just, yeah, I had other reasons to think that Miss O'Hoyen had been communicating with the employees of Animal Care and Control.
Did you get any? Did you get any text messages, or was it all just email?
No, yeah, they told me there were no text messages.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think you wanted to. Well, I'd like to hear whatever response you have, so you can come up here, if you don't mind. A brief response.
Okay. So, in regards to the existence of an additional document, when Ms. Shulman had asked for it, I had looked through, because Mr. Ramage is no longer with Animal Care and Control as well. So I had looked through the documents and I had provided it as soon as she asked for it that same day. And I believe that the reason Ms. Shulman was asking for the document was because based on the response that she received on one of the documents, she believed that another document did exist. But since then, we have provided all documents, and I think that my response to you, Ms. Shulman, has been pretty immediate. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Just Mr. Kate has it.
And I think maybe earlier you mentioned this. You may have said search terms, but how did ACC go about looking for the responsive emails and then the responsive text messages?
So the search terms were for a particular time frame. So we did look at all individuals that the so on the request, it was asking for
Claire O'Hoyen and
Beth
Connell.
Claire. We did look at all. We have 50 staff members. So we had them all look through their emails as well as double check through, especially when Ms. Shulman had asked us if there were any additional existing documents for that time frame. So we did a search through all Outlook emails. And then for the text messages, it was specific to Lieutenant Sadler, and we had looked through her information at that time, and nothing in regards to Claire O'Hoyen or it was
Beth Connell?
Beth O'Connell, yes, existed. We had even asked, I believe, for Ms. Shulman to narrow down her request because originally it was asking for all emails within a certain time frame without a specific topic. Mm-hmm. So at that point, she had narrowed down her request, and that's the search words that we used.
By date, not
by date, correct.
Not by topic.
Yes.
And just to make sure I understood, to find responsive emails, you asked ACC employees to look for emails from Ms. O'Hoyen and Ms. Connell, or did you just look at those two email accounts?
We used all of our main staff who would have interacted with those individuals, and we did a search on their work emails, and then we also looked at the search words for Claire in case she was mentioned in another email.
I think I've brought to this the assumption that I now think is wrong, that the two people are ACC employees, and I guess that's not the case.
No, they are not.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Nope. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I move to find the matter within a jurisdiction, the records to be public, and forward to the full task force schedule for a hearing.
I'll second that. Any addition, Ms. Member Kate?
Actually, sorry, Ms. Alberto, one quick question. Just kind of pertaining to, and sorry, this may be a little bit far afield, but possibly at the task force, whenever we refer this, we might be discussing some of the redaction. I'm seeing a couple of redactions in the two field, just a couple of here and there. I don't know if you explained those redactions in the responses, or if you can speak to those now, or
I don't know which documents you're referencing. It may be Clara Hoyne's address or email address, or for Beth O'Connell, but I'm not sure what else they might be.
Do you recall redacting any documents?
So I didn't handle the request myself until it was brought to my attention during the in July 9. So the original request came in June. So I did not handle the request myself, and that was the only time that I had looked for additional documents.
Do you know who did?
Yes, Diana Christensen and Grant Ramage, who are no longer with our department.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. Just sorry, I was just passing through and just wondered about those. I don't
I'm
know if you have any-
wondering, we always have this problem about in-camera issues. I'm wondering, since you have the ability to look at those documents, the originals that were not redacted, I'm just going to ask whether or not you choose to do it or not. There's no necessary compliance. We can't order you or subpoena or anything like that. But it would be helpful to know whether any of those redactions are material investigative information, or whether they would somehow would not be in the best interest of the public, that kind of thing.
So, Ms. Shulman can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this is in regards to a vicious and dangerous dog case. So that is why the personal information was also not included.
But I'm
And so
looking
far,
at,
most of the ones that I'm seeing in the
but what's that page right there?
this would actually be personal information to the
Oh, that
records
would be,
request
okay.
form by an address, email, and I know Ms. Schulman's not said anything about the redactions, and I know sometimes we still ask, but I mean, as I was asking and I'm looking through, it does look like it mostly seems to pertain to kind of personally identifying information and addresses.
Typically, we will reference why the information was redacted, and to my knowledge, it should have been just for personal information or personal privacy.
Let me ask you another question, just so we have some clarification. In general, with regards to the vicious and dangerous dog hearing process, are the documents with regards to, what documents are available to the public at that hearing?
In regards to, generally speaking.
In general, do you also redact for those
No.
hearings?
Information, public information. But
Okay.
this is a sunshine request, right?
Public information. California Public Records Act.
But if
and-
the dog is deemed vicious and dangerous, but if the dog is not deemed vicious and dangerous, then the information does not become public.
Why not? It's a document that's being that's held as in custodian by city government.
If my
It's
understanding,
not work product.
my understanding is if the dog is deemed vicious and dangerous, then that's when the information becomes public with a sunshine request.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to bring whatever evidence or policy or citation that allows for that.
Okay.
When this goes to the task force.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm not going to, unless you have that information here.
I do
which
not.
It doesn't look like, yeah. I would say prepare that information, and and please do within our time frame before you'll get a notice of when it's going to be heard, and I think it's 5 days before the hearing that they submit.
No, when you get a notice of appearance, you have 5 days from the date of the notice of appearance.
Okay, from a notice. So when it gets scheduled, you'll get a notice of appearance, and 5 days from receipt of that, then you can send in whatever additional information or.
So I would just respond to the agenda request
Right.
and then at that time provide the additional documents you're requesting.
Right, but we're going to ask you here to provide us with a citation that allows for that redaction if the animal was not deemed vicious and dangerous.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask a point of clarification? Sure. So if Ms. Schulman and I were to discuss and come to an agreement that we have provided all the documents, will it still be necessary for us to appear before the task force?
Maybe that's up to
Parties.
Ms. Schulman.
Yeah, Ms. Schulman.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so
if you do agree that everything has been exchanged and she's received all her documents, then you have to tell me so that I can make a notation either on the calendar or just so that I can tell people who will be hearing it at the committee level.
Okay.
because our
or the
clerk works very
SOTF.
hard, and to do all that work in advance of the agenda and then have it go off is problematic. So by all means, please resolve your issues. But that's also largely up to the complainant. And I think the complainant has valid issues kind of with the timeliness at the very beginning, even though you weren't involved, and kind of how that all went down and where her email address came from. I don't know if that's something we'll be able to remedy here, but there's a 99% chance this gets referred to the full task force. And I think when you're preparing for that, as Member Wolf is saying, you can anticipate questions about what are you relying on to redact this information? What's your justification? What code section? Why is it that a dog that's deemed not vicious but was part of a public hearing isn't public record? And that's just so you're prepared so we don't waste a bunch of time up here.
So
bumbling around.
regardless, I'd be happy to provide that information regarding the redactions of personal privacy information for dog hearings or vicious and dangerous dogs.
Okay. Yeah, just be prepared. And then,
Yeah, because there's a limited, it's kind of it's allowed, but it's limited to specific code sections or law that allows for redactions. And as part of your defense, you need to provide that. Otherwise, we have no idea whether it's a valid reason for redaction.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any other? We had a motion. I forget
I made the
what was it?
motion.
Oh, yeah,
Bruce
I
made the
seconded
motion.
And
it.
you seconded it.
Any public comment on the motion?
And I would just add
From the back.
that part around the redaction, that we would order the, or we would compel, but we would ask and request that the respondent provide citation or legal
Justification.
for the redactions.
Well,
You need to come up to the
You have
microphone.
to make the trek up here if you want to make the public comment. So this is public comment? Yes? Okay, public comment.
Well, I was just listening in the back, and I'm just interested in knowing if Ms. Christensen is working on some level for animal care and control, because I thought that was kind of interesting that she would just drop by on a social visit and discuss this kind of issue.
So public comment is public comment, and
It's in the record.
It's in the
If
record.
somebody wants to bring it up, that when they read the minutes of this at the task force level, they may ask a question about it. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You're very
Your name
welcome.
again, sir?
Xavier Blake.
Thank you. Okay.
Call a question.
Call roll.
Yes, please.
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Martin?
Aye.
Chair Martin, aye. Member Kate?
Aye.
Member Kate, aye. The motion to refer it to the task force passes.
Okay, so again, you will be set in front of the full task force. You'll get notice of that, and respondent, as Member Wolf said, 5 days from the day you get that notice to produce additional materials justifying redactions. Okay. All right, you're very welcome. Thank you for staying till the end. You guys were the last one, so. All right.
Next
All right,
item.
next item.
Item number 9, adjournment.
I've got, if you don't mind, I have a couple of comments I want to make. One is, I think it's important because a lot of people know about the legal process, is to refer to what we're doing here, and when we're asking additional information is discovery. And that's really our, our whole process is basically more or less discovery. And we do it in public versus, say, the Ethics Commission, which has their own investigative department. They do it in confidence or confidential. The other thing is you might have been had a little bit taken aback by what Mr. Piccirillo was saying with regards to, well, aren't you going to, make a recommendation or anything like that? And I'll tell you why. Between 2012 and 2016, there was, at the time that in 2012, when there was a new Sunshine Task Force appointed, there wasn't a member with a disability appointed. And so that went on for about 6 months and until they could find somebody. And because they couldn't have anybody, then they couldn't meet. So you had, if you realize how fast we can get backlogged, you can imagine how much backlog they had, okay, at the time. And so in order, when the task force did finally get somebody, when somebody was appointed to the task force, in order to kind of get through that backlog, what they decided to do was allow the committee to adjudicate and then just send up the decision, and then the full task force would more or less rubber stamp it. And when I came on, they were continuing to do that despite there not being much of a backlog anymore. And having not been on the task force, I was getting complaints from folks because they were saying they didn't feel that a three-person, three people making the decision was appropriate, because one person could, could be tyranny of the minority. So that's why we stopped it. So anytime you hear, Mr. Piccirillo may not have been here for quite some time, and so he probably still thinks it's under that old rubric. So just so you know, when that comes up, you shouldn't look surprised or, that kind of thing. So that's it. I move to adjourn.
Second.
And you're welcome.
Thanks for showing up.
What time is it?
7:07.
7:07.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bruce. I appreciate it. But don't disappear.
Okay. Yeah. I won't.
Cheryl, I'll disappear.
You're going? Where are your papers?
Yeah, I put everything in that folder.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I haven't finished looking. I can do that right now. I got halfway through it.
Do you want it?
No.
I tend to just leave them here. There's
That's okay.
my office is littered